Since 2004, Tobey Maguire has played Spider-Man for 14 years.
Then, in 2022, he went back to Hollywood and didn't look like himself at all.
White teeth, pale skin, and eyes that are sunken in.
It wasn't a hero role for him.
He was portraying a crime boss who was hooked on meth and had alligators in his basement.
Being real wasn't enough.
He was in charge of making the movie,
which was based on his own life.
In the same year, he was caught dating a model who was 20 years old, was compared to Leonardo DiCaprio, and quietly built a production company worth a lot of money. The nice kid from Spider-Man was no longer who he used to be.
And so Tobey Maguire was born on June 27, 1975, in Santa Monica, California.
His mother, Wendy Brown, was a young secretary.
Vince Maguire, a 20-year-old cook who also worked as part-time in building.
He was born before they were married, but they got married soon after.
That didn't last long.
By the time Tobey was 3, the marriage was over, and the changes in his life because of the instability started early on. For some nights, he and his mother stayed with family. There were nights when they stayed in shelters.
He has said out loud that they got food stamps to live.
Did not have a stable place to live and had to borrow food from friends to get by until the next day. As he turned 18, Tobey's world fell apart even more. Because of his sadness, fear of cancer, and the death of his sister, his father robbed a bank right across the street from where they lived.
Tobey's dream before he became Spider-Man was to wear a chef's apron.
He planned to get away by cooking like his dad. Wendy, on the other hand, saw how hard life had been for Vincent and wanted something different for her son.
She paid him off, then.
She said Tobey could get $100 if he switched his home economics class to theater. He agreed to the deal. That one choice he made when he was 12 changed his whole path. Tobey had already begun to fall apart because of all the chaos in his life at that point. He would throw up every morning before 6th grade in Palm Springs because all the moving and stress made him sick.
He never finished high school. He stopped going to school in the 9th grade and never went back. Instead, he went after acting jobs while secretly dealing with drug and alcohol abuse. Tobey's early years in Santa Monica were hard because he was poor and lived in the sun. His mom worked in ads while she was trying to get into acting. His dad and he barely made ends meet by working in kitchens and on building sites. The Hollywood dream was close enough to their flat that they could see it but not touch it. Even though Tobey lived close to the stages, his first experiences with show business weren't very exciting. He got a few tryouts because his mom was a secretary. He used free beds and relied on kindness, and all he could think about was one thing: cash. Not fame or art, just money to get away from everything. It looked like he got his big break when he was 17. He got the lead part in the Fox sitcom Great Scott, which was about a teenage boy with a big mind. From October 1992 to November 1992, the show didn't last. In the US, only 6 shows were shown. That year, it was ranked 136th out of 139 shows. All 13 shows were shown in Germany in the end, but under a different name. But the harm was already done. Tobey had to go back to commercials and small guest parts to make ends meet for his family, who had always depended on his success. He was still dealing with his inner demons. It was hard work being an actor. Early on, Tobey didn't have an agent, so he had to go to every tryout on his own. The worst thing that happened was that he tried out for a dog food commercial but was turned down because he looked too sad. So this is when he met Leonardo DiCaprio. They were both young and poor, and they kept losing jobs to each other. He would get the lead role. Tobey would either get a side job or nothing at all. That took place with Parenthood in 1990. And again in 1993's This Boy's Life. Leo was given the lead part. Tobey got a small supporting role. Everything is because Leo told me to. In the same year, Tobey's dad was found guilty of robbing a bank, and the stress of it all finally helped him get better. In This Boy's Life, his first full-length movie role was as Leo's friend Chuck Bolger. Tobey got his first credit and his first look at real Hollywood on this movie, which was mostly filmed in Vancouver and Washington. He worked with De Niro on a major production. He didn't get paid much.
But he relished the experience. It took rivalry, loss, and rejection to start that bond with Leo that turned into a lasting one. By 1997, Tobey had landed parts in movies like Joyride, where he had to shoot all night in Palmdale to play the son of a motel owner who gets caught up in a dangerous plan. Here, he would feel truly worn out for the first time, getting hurt because of how crazy the shoot plan was. The next movie he was in was Deconstructing Harry, in which Woody Allen played a figure from a writer's mind.
It was an important but small part. Well-known people like Demi Moore, Robin Williams, and Jennifer Garner worked with him.
The fast pace of the plot, the way it was edited, and the cast taught him timing, discipline, and how to hold his own with stars. But then Pleasantville came along in 1998 and changed everything. Tobey played a modern teen who got lost in the world of a 1950s show. It was moving, funny, and technically sound all at the same time. He had to get good at tap dancing, act in front of green screens, and keep up with Reese Witherspoon and the stylish direction of the movie. Directors saw him in a new way after seeing that movie. He was no longer just the quiet, sad guy. He had the strength to carry a movie.
Things didn't calm down, though.
Before Pleasantville, in 1995, Tobey had a rough patch on the Empire Records set. Alan Moyle, the director, had all the young players stay in beach houses close to each other so they could get to know each other.
It was too much for Tobey to handle. He went into Moyle's basement one night and ate cereal while feeling lost and maybe high. They talked for a long time. Tobey wanted to go back to Hollywood and said he would write a story. He was even paid by Moyle. It never came with the book. Some of his parts were cut. His name was the only one on the credits. That moment showed signs of what people close to him would later call his difficult behavior. 2001 came next. Tom wanted to play Spider-Man when the part opened up. Jake Gyllenhaal did the same. And DiCaprio did too. Sam Raimi, the director, wasn't sure. It wasn't clear that Tobey was a superhero. He was too skinny at 5 feet 8 inches and 155 pounds. But Tobey went to the gym, got a trainer, and gained 25 pounds of muscle. 24 hours a day, he did 500 push-ups every morning, and he worked out for 6 months. Sony was still not sure. They gave him $4 million, which is only half of what DiCaprio would have made. It was his. A $12 million deal for 3 movies. It was a good bet. People loved him. In 2002, while making Spider-Man, he almost broke his body. Every day, he swung across sets at 25 mph for 8 hours in a 35-pound harness. He got cut, hurt, and by week 12, his back spasmed every day. In order to keep shooting, he needed cortisone shots. He fell 15 feet and hit the crash mats during one scene after a rope snapped. His ribs got hurt. He still turned down an acting double for close-ups. It had to be true. During talks about Spider-Man 2, things got harder to handle. Tobey said that his back hurt too much to go back. He sent a neurosurgeon to Sony's office and asked for $17.5 million and a cut of the income. Sony started to wonder. Especially since he was caught playing basketball and cards even though he said he could barely walk. As a replacement, they tried Jake Gyllenhaal in secret. Skipped costume fittings, which slowed down the process. His agent spread reports that Tobey might stop acting for good. Sony finally gave up. He got his money, but it hurt him. The company never again put all of their trust in him. People all over the world loved Spider-Man 2, but Tobey was breaking down. He almost died in the train scene where he was hung upside down. He stayed there for 6 hours every day for 3 days in a row. His head swelled with blood. He threw up twice while he was being held. He got liquid through and 4 between takes. He lost 12 pounds because of a stomach bug during the scene with Kirsten Dunst in the coffee shop. He kept going though. It made $783 million. His back-end points made him more than $40 million, but he was worn out. He started taking sleep aids because he couldn't sleep and became quiet burned out. He even fell asleep when the movie first came out. Tobey stopped taking on big parts after the success of the sequel. He turned down Scorsese's The Departed because he was afraid of the stress and fame. He began going to therapy 3 times a week. Went down on an offer of $25 million for Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. He spent most of his time playing poker in secret, where he won over $10 million from famous people like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. He skipped public events and didn't go to the MTV Awards, even though he won Best Actor. He turned down X-Men and Batman Begins. He picked peace over power. Tobey Maguire had no idea that becoming a jockey for Seabiscuit would almost kill him. To make it more real, he went from 155 pounds to 115 pounds in just 8 weeks. That meant they had to get by on 1,200 calories a day while working for 6 hours at real racetracks. The worst part was when it happened at Kentucky's Keeneland Racecourse. He was going about 35 miles per hour when the horse threw him off. The impact broke his T12 vertebrae, and pieces of bone were very close to his spinal cord, which was very dangerous. He kept going. He kept acting for 3 more days, even though he could hardly move. In between takes, he quietly took painkillers. When he finally passed out on set, the team rushed him to the hospital right away. Titanium rods were put into his back. They told him that one wrong turn could have made him unable to move. He was hurt once, and it kept bothering him for years, even into the Spider-Man movies. Sony got scared. Just as they were about to start filming Spider-Man 2, their star suddenly became unable to walk without help. Executives at the company began making plans behind his back without telling him. There was a flight for Jake Gyllenhaal. He put on the suit. They learned the dance moves and even did some test shoots. Gyllenhaal's face was added to posters and promotional images without anyone knowing. Sony wasn't just making a copy, though. They went even further. They put in an insurance claim for $15 million, saying that Tobey was forever disabled, and they also tried to get his pay lowered. Tobey only learned about it after his lawyer listened in on private conversations. He was so mad that he threatened to go to court. His doctor sent in video proof that Tobey could walk. Sony changed its mind. Later, Gyllenhaal said he felt used, but he didn't know what game was being played. After this, every big action star deal started, and strict injury clauses were added because of this one event. Tobey was paid a lot of money for Spider-Man 3. $17.5 million up front and a 4% cut of all income made around the world. There was about $32 million left for him after the movie made $895 million. The money did cost something, though. The movie turned into a fight. Sam Raimi, the director, wanted to focus on Sandman as the main bad guy. It was Sony's plan to use Venom to boost toy sales. Tobey agreed with the TV show. That lie hurt a lot. Raimi got back at them in the only way he knew how. By making the dance scene with Peter Parker as sad as possible on purpose. The last draft was a war zone. Raimi allegedly threw it across the room at Amy Pascal at one point and yelled that he was in charge of a toy commercial and not a movie. Their friendship never got better. Later, Raimi said that he hated every frame of that movie and that Tobey's devotion to the company was to blame for it. Things got even messy behind the scenes. Tobey had gone all the way. It took him months to stop acting like the bad Peter Parker. He never changed his mood, not even at lunch. James Franco said that Tobey would insult team members because that was how he was supposed to act. During the scene in the jazz club, he hit 2 dancers so hard that they had to go to the hospital. Kirsten Dunst broke down several times because he kept making up mean lines on the spot. Raimi hired a therapist to come to the set once a week in the end. At a Thanksgiving dinner for the group, Tobey showed up late and made fun of Rosemary Harris's age, which made her cry. Everyone could feel how quickly the line between playing and real life was blurring. He was physically hurt by the Spider-Man series. By 2007, Tobey had 3 more broken vertebrae, torn rotator cuffs in both shoulders, and nerve damage in his leg that would not go away. His health insurance paid more than $8 million in claims. Every day, he took 12 OxyContin pills. By the end of Spider-Man 3, he had secretly checked into a Swiss rehab center. His doctor told him that if he did one more dangerous move, he might have to use a wheelchair.
He later said that he would never play a physical part again. When he was only 33, he was done with fight roles. He was famous and had a lot of money, but he wasn't healthy enough to enjoy any of it. He still has to spend more than $2 million a year on pain treatments and rehab just to live a normal life. Everyone thought Tobey would fight for Spider-Man 4 when it fell apart in 2009.
He walked away instead.
Sony and Sam Raimi were arguing about creative decisions, and the movie wasn't coming out for another 6 months.
He didn't even try to save it, though.
People who knew him said he looked relieved.
He told his friends that as a superhero, he was tired and didn't want to be in a suit any longer.
He turned down a $50 million offer and didn't even blink.
When Sony replaced him with Andrew Garfield, his lawyer didn't even try to make a deal. Big-name stars had never quit a series like this before.
Off camera, though, Tobey was making a lot of money somewhere else. He often went to hidden poker games in Beverly Hills from 2007 to 2009.
These were not fun games.
It cost $1 million to get in. He played against famous people like Affleck, Damon, and DiCaprio. He also worked with some shadier people, like Brad Ruderman, who turned out to be a Ponzi schemer.
More than $5 million was lost by Ruderman to Tobey.
In some games, there were pots of $2 million.
Tobey was very good at poker.
He kept records. Like a business, they kept track of wins. During those years, he allegedly made $30 to $40 million. Then Molly's Game came up.
Tobey was revealed to be the famed Player X in the memoir and later the movie. Molly Bloom, who organized the game, said he was the meanest player in the room.
For a $1,000 tip, he made her bark like a seal in one story. He never tipped the staff, made fun of players who lost, and insisted that people he didn't like be put in bad seats. His Spider-Man fame gave him the power to scare people.
Everything changed after the movie came out.
A lot of people saw a new, scary side of him that they would never forget.
Things got worse in 2011.
Ruderman was caught taking millions of dollars, and the people he stole from sued Tobey to get their money back.
One claim asked for $311,000. Tobey quietly paid $80,000 and didn't say he was guilty.
The papers did, however, show a full poker network with professional dealers, shell companies used to launder money, and illegal activities happening in five-star hotels. The FBI had proof that Ben Affleck was kicked out of a game for counting cards. Damien lost $200,000 all at once. In one night, DiCaprio lost $1 million.
Studios paid attention. Maguire couldn't be reached. No longer did family-friendly brands want him. He wasn't fired, but he also wasn't picked up again either. It turned out that the name difficult actor had been used for a long time. Ang Lee dubbed over all of Maguire's lines in the 1999 movie Ride with the Devil. Charlize Theron, who worked with him, said he was hard to work with. He wouldn't talk between takes. Even for food.
People who worked on Spider-Man began calling him Tobey the Dictator.
He once pushed back shooting by 3 hours because of one line he didn't like. Directors put Maguire terms in contracts so it would be easy to fire him if things went badly.
After some time, his agent told him to stay out of the press for a while. He lost 20 pounds in 5 weeks for the 2009 movie Brothers. I learned about PTSD by reading real medical files, and on set I stayed in character for some of the time.
Jake Gyllenhaal later said that it made the team feel uneasy.
People thought Tobey had gone too far with the movie, even though it made money and got him a Golden Globe nod. And then there was The Great Gatsby. The party scenes were huge.
Tobey couldn't handle the confetti, the orchestras, and the circus artists.
He kept breaking character in the middle of a scene because he was so stressed out. He stopped moving in one pool shot because he was afraid he would fall off the stage.
Critics pointed out that Baz Luhrmann had to reshoot whole days. What was going on off-screen didn't match the glitz on-screen.
He used $50 million to start his own production business in 2012. 11 Oscars were given to Life of Pi, which was his first big hit. Tobey was also cast in the movie, but his parts were cut because he was too well known.
He leaned into making things instead of being angry.
He quietly supported projects, stayed out of the spotlight, and turned down dozens of big parts.
He didn't want fame, just power over small independent films.
He learned to play chess 6 hours a day for 8 months for pawn sacrifice. He stayed away from the press, refusing to go on junkets, and filmed scenes to show Bobby Fischer's breakdown. He said that he understood Fischer's need to hide. Some people said that he really did look paranoid in conversations. In 2010, he turned down the dating site. His back had flared up again. Doctors feared he might end up paralyzed. He traveled with ergonomic chairs, got daily therapy, and restricted his projects. After Spider-Man 3, he only starred in 4 films in 8 years. The risk wasn't worth it. During that time, the poker cases came back. Ruderman's $25 million fraud pulled Tobey into a $300,000 controversy. The FBI revealed how these games worked. $100,000 buy-ins, hotel rooms, fake phones. Studios quietly backed away. No one wanted Spider-Man in a courtroom. Even offers from X-Men reboots were refused. He didn't want to be boxed into the superhero label anymore. He told Nylon in 2015 that he only wanted jobs that truly moved him. But leaders saw him as unreliable. And slowly, Hollywood stopped knocking. His production company hit big in 2019 with Britney Runs a Marathon. He sold it to Amazon for $14 million after it played at Sundance. It was the first non-doc ever filmed at the real NYC Marathon. He acquired the rights after hearing a single verbal pitch. That deal showed Tobey still had sharp instincts, just not in front of the camera. But his back? That was never fixed. In 2003, during Spider-Man 2 prep, he showed up with a neurosurgeon and told the studio he might never walk again. They didn't believe him. They called Jake Gyllenhaal again. The tension ended when Tobey magically healed after contract talks finished. The whole thing was so bizarre it got spoofed in No Way Home. By 2018, he was done with Hollywood. He admitted to having anxiety attacks from fame and once said that being shot felt like being publicly hunted. He joined Alcoholics Anonymous at 19. Fame, poker, pain, it all piled up. He picked silence. He didn't quit officially. He just stopped showing up. Tobey Maguire's return to Hollywood after nearly a decade felt less like a comeback and more like a planned strike. In 2022, he re-emerged in Babylon, not as a hero, not even as a regular character, but as something completely unrecognizable. His face was pale, his teeth yellowed, and his eyes so sunken you could swear you were looking at someone dying. This wasn't just makeup. It was a message. The part of James McKay, a grotesque meth-addled crime boss, was a choice Maguire made himself, not something handed to him. And he didn't just act in the film, he created it. He wanted this. He wanted to go dark, sleazy, unexpected. He based the character on his own high-stakes poker nights where Hollywood's elite bet fortunes behind closed doors. His character ran an underground gaming den with alligators in the basement. Yes, sharks. That's the amount of madness Maguire leaned into. It was shocking because for so long, Tobey had been frozen in our thoughts as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And then in 2021, he pulled off what was possibly one of the biggest cinematic secrets of the decade. He returned in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Not with fanfare, but with surgical stealth. Filming started in October 2020, deep in the COVID age. Closed sets, no leaks. Even crew were kept to a bare minimum. Tom Holland directly asked for him. And when Maguire stepped back into the suit after 14 years, it wasn't just a part. It was closure. For him. For the fans. For the trilogy that had finished so awkwardly. The film made almost $1.921 billion worldwide. His appearance turned what could have been fan service into something emotional. Something real. He didn't reveal anything in the press. Didn't drop hints. He just showed up on screen. And suddenly, everyone was 12 years old again. But behind those scenes, something even more emotional was happening. When he returned with Willem Dafoe, it brought back everything.
They fought on set, like they did in 2002. Only this time, their fight scenes were so raw they fell from exhaustion. They chugged Red Bulls just to survive the physical toll. And then there was the "my back" line. It wasn't just a reply. Tobey broke down delivering it. That wasn't playing. That really happened. Because years ago, his back almost cost him everything. During Seabiscuit shooting, he injured it badly. When Spider-Man 2 talks started, he tried to use it to negotiate more money. Sony called his game and almost replaced him with Jake Gyllenhaal. The pressure forced him to swallow pride and beg for the job back. He stated later he had to face everyone and say, "I'm really sorry. I'll do whatever it takes." Off-screen, his life had gone through its own twists. He married Jennifer Meyer in 2007 in a sunset ceremony in Hawaii so private, paparazzi didn't even catch it. Only 35 guests, no phones. DiCaprio was best man. They had already had a daughter, Ruby, the year before, and their son Otis followed in 2009. He once joked on Ellen that he told his wife he accidentally spelled Otis in his $8.5 million mansion. Leather is banned. If you visit, you remove your shoes, belt, even leather jackets. During Great Gatsby filming, he rejected a Mercedes because the seats had leather. And when a fast food brand offered him $2 million for a burger commercial, he turned it down flat. He didn't just avoid leather, he removed it from his medical gear. Even blood pressure cuffs had to be custom made. His personality INFJ, one of the rarest types. And it shows. No Hollywood parties since 2018. He pays someone $100,000 a year just to decline invitations for him. He meditates 90 minutes every day in a room built just for that. He doesn't watch TV. He reads a lot. He's in bed by 9 p.m. and up by 5 a.m. Even his kids' friends follow house rules. No phones, no loud music, and everyone has to sit in silence for at least half an hour. That's how controlled his world is. Still, the world kept watching. In July 2024, he was seen with 20-year-old model Lily Chi. The age gap caused a social media meltdown. People called him the next DiCaprio. But while the internet exploded, Maguire said nothing. No interviews, no paparazzi setups, only 3 public appearances together. Meanwhile, his relationship with ex-wife, Meyer, stayed so strong that she called him "my best friend" on Instagram. They even attended events together after she got engaged to billionaire Jeffrey Ogun Lacey. And through it all, Maguire quietly built an empire. Material Pictures, his production company, expanded massively in 2023 with backing from Richard Weinberg. They brought in Ben Tierney from Depp's company as VP. They produced Nobody 2 in 2025. Maguire didn't star in it, but his fingerprints were all over it. He stays behind the camera now, building stories, controlling narrative. His net worth? $75 million? Spider-Man alone made him a fortune. $4 million for the first, $17.5 million plus back in for the second, and $15 million plus, 7.5% back in for the third. But poker was where things got dirty. He joined illegal games in Beverly Hills with DiCaprio and Affleck. In 2011, he got sued for winning $300,000 from a Ponzi scheme CEO. He settled for $80,000. People say he's the infamous Player X in Molly's Game, the one who once made the organizer bark like a seal for a chip. He never denied it. Still, through all the scandals, Maguire kept his grip on one thing. Every move he makes is quiet, calculated, deeply private. Rumors swirl about Spider-Man 4 with Raimi. Maybe Parker becomes a father. Maybe Sadie Sink plays his daughter. Kirsten Dunst said she's open to it. Raimi said it depends on where Tobey wants to take the character. Because now, it's not about youth or speed or power. It's about evolution. About what it means to grow up in front of the world and then pull back just enough to keep your soul.